Welcome to the Midnight Train to Sleepy Hills. We hope you enjoy your ride, and we ask all guests to be aware of your surroundings. If there is danger in Sleepy Hills. Additionally, we will be releasing new episodes weekly, so stay tuned and please like and subscribe. Now, back to our latest installment. George's mouth felt like one big cotton ball. His fingertips were starting to feel a bit dull and worn out. However, he had called every hospital, clinic, police station, and even the local vet. The poor guy who had been taken by the crowd of people was not taken to any of those places. Where in the world did they take him? He said aloud. He thought of the name that Lucy had told him, Billy. He needed to piss because he was on his second pot of coffee. As he grudgingly walked over to the window, he took his right hand and he lifted up the blinds. And facing out of his window, he looked onto the front yard and to the road where the crash had occurred. The front yard was clean, and the flower patch was actually looking nice for a change. But the street was empty, and for the most part, it was pretty quiet. Although George didn't find out where Billy was, he did know where he didn't go last night. He sighed to himself. For all he knew, it could have been a crowd of his drunk buddies taking him to a local drug den. George shook his head at that thought. Lucy couldn't stop talking about how those people who took this poor fella. Billy, what happened to him really terrified her. The green glowing eyes bit didn't help Lucy's case. Moreover, she was the only eyewitness, besides the reckless driver, who left the scene of the accident. However, nature was calling George. So leaving the front window, he headed to the bathroom. Pulling his pants down, he sat on his porcelain throne as he relieved himself. Sitting there, he wondered if it was even possible for him to even find this guy. The constant no's and from everyone he spoke to was confirmation. But it seemed like it added less to his confidence of being any help in this investigation. He thought glumly to himself as he stared forward at a painting of a large colonial sailing ship fighting its way through some choppy waters. The sails of the ship showed excellent detail of the tension creases, and the shocked looks of the sailors was just the icing on the cake for this masterpiece. This was a painting both me and Lucy really enjoyed a lot. There was a summer where him and Lucy sailed together through the Caribbean. The memory brought a smile to George, because a stormy day, similar to the painting depiction, had occurred on that very trip as well. The same expression of fear on the sailor's face in the painting also matched Lucy's expression that eventful day. The day, though, George didn't share that same expression of fear, but of excitement. I suppose that there's another reason men have shorter lifespans, George mused at the revelation. Well, I have not located Billy, but there has been a string of disappearances The missing person reports have been seeing a recent uptick. The 2 dead campers found at Cloudy Forest State Park was just one of them. It may not have been a disappearance, but it was a disturbance within the city. The latest situation that has occurred in Sleepy Hills, however, it's likely the poor campers were killed by a bear. Although the idea of a bear attack is not common, that particular area was a pretty popular area to frequent. As George pulled his eyes from the painting, he reached behind the toilet, and on top of that porcelain tank was a wicker basket full of newspapers. To say George was a news junkie was the greatest understatement of the year. "Let's see what is going on out there," said George in a questioning tone. "Well, let's see if any locals have reported anything strange going on," mumbled George under his breath. There in Black Times New Roman type, text read, "What our readers are reporting." Under that was a disclaimer. All names presented within this section are not the real names of the writers, to protect their privacy. Let's see what Susie B has to say, as George began to read. "Well, it's been 3 weeks that I've been calling the local waste management company because of the horrible smells coming from an empty lot near my home. It smells like an animal died there. However, the strangest thing is that it doesn't always smell like that. All I keep hearing from the waste management company is that we will get around to it. It's just so frustrating because I'm concerned bad smells like that will hurt my property value. My husband is concerned because I've said a few times already that I want to go onto this property and just bury the bad smell or dig it up and throw it out. His concern is trespassing, but no one will do anything about this situation, and do not get me started with the city or the police department. The smell does appear to get worse late at night, but not always. I also get that it's private property, but even the company who owns the land doesn't want to do anything about the smell. P.S. I plan to go out sometime when my husband is out of town and get to the bottom of this smelly issue. Personally, I think it's a leaking sewage pipe." George said. "I haven't heard about a leaking sewage pipe, but that doesn't seem so far-fetched," he thought. "Let's see what else is being reported," thought George, as he scanned the newspaper for another story. Anonymous writes, "I've been noticing that local animals like cats have been disappearing in the area. Normally I leave food for them in the backyard. However, the cats haven't returned for months. I called the local pound, but they've stated that they haven't been capturing stray cats for years, since they lack the room to store them. I just wanted to report this because I'm concerned. Where I live, they don't allow for pets, so stray cats were mine in a way. I hope someone at the Sleepy Hills paper investigates this matter further." Well, thought George, Lucy did mention a stray cat at our front door this morning. I assume someone must be feeding these cats with better food. It's unlikely anyone is hoarding all these cats, but he did remember hearing from his colleagues from the force of people having numerous pets. Well, I think I have time for one more reader's report, as curiosity was getting the better of him. Danny D writes, "I recently moved to Sleepy Hills and really enjoy the city so far. The job market appears to be great. The nightlife is also pretty good too. I want to share with y'all how impressed I am with this city. Although the streets need some repair work done, and a slight uptick in crime has splashed on this paper, the mayor does seem driven to turn this town into a competitive hub for manufacturing. However, I feel like the art scene here has a better chance to grow. The only strange thing to report, and it's probably me just being nosy, is that tent city near the park. It looks completely abandoned. It's been months since I've seen a campfire, and although I know people have to live somewhere, it was a bit of an eyesore. At the very least, they could have cleaned up after themselves instead of leaving their tents and shopping carts. There was a time in my life I had some hard times. However, that did not give me the right to leave my stuff all over the place. Well, all in all, thank you, Mayor Murdoch, for dealing with that tent city. And if you had nothing to do with that, please invest more in the arts instead of power plants. Peace out, everyone, and have a beer on me. George did an eye roll after finishing the last bit of what Danny D said. Great, another West Coaster, thought George. If we get too many of them around here, we might get some type of Burning Man drug fest in this town. I swear you cannot be, for 1 minute, lax on city politics. Here's another genius pushing for something. For George, investing in infrastructure, at least from the mayor's perspective, seemed to make sense to him at least. The idea was, if these power plants were built, that they would provide electrical energy for a lower cost. And by having lower costs, they would attract more manufacturing in the city. To George, that seemed reasonable. As he was slowly getting up from the toilet, he thought to himself, I wonder if there's something we can do besides just reading newspapers and hoping for the best. But at the least, by reading all these articles, he had a better idea of what kind of things were going on in the town. George returned the paper back on the trusty wicker basket. Well, I think I have a very thorough report for Lucy when she gets back from her walk. It wasn't like he didn't want to help, but more leads would be needed to further these inquiries. As he thought about everything that he'd read and all the people he'd called today, at the very least, he thought to himself, at least we made some progress on this investigation. Heading to the kitchen for more coffee is probably a mistake. But for him, he was on a roll. And although he had called quite a few people that day, he thought to himself, maybe I have still some friends in the force that I can give a little bit of a call today. And just maybe, I might be able to get more leads. And that concludes our episode for today on the midnight train to Sleepy Hills. Please stay tuned next week for our next episode and follow the journey of what occurs in the town of Sleepy Hills. Do you sleep well?